The group presentation for David Overgaard and Jeffrey Fleur. The title is Augmenting the Self-Repair Property of the Minix 3 OS. The motivation of this talk is to study the Minix operating system and understand the reliability of its key assets. So as we studied in class, the crash of any driver can be recovered by restarting it, and this action is performed by the reincarnation server. The data store server is also used to aid in the resumption of lost state in the restarted driver. The question that was asked on Piazza, and also in the class where the lecture was given, what would happen if either the reincarnation server or the data server were to crash? There wasn't actually a good answer to this question, so we went ahead and looked, and from the research available, these services do not have any mechanism for being restarted. Our proposal for this project is to first explore the possibility of making the reincarnation server fault tolerant by studying how it relates to the rest of the OS. And by using this study, we will try to determine if a reincarnation server failure can be recovered. From our research, we show that this may not be an easy thing, so if we cannot get this to work, we will look for a server that does not recover currently from failure and make that one fault tolerant. Lastly, we will then propose future work for Minix to improve its fault tolerance. So for the prior work we studied, I looked into, with my partner, several papers, and Herder was the paper that we read in class. But he was the person who discussed mostly the robustness of Minix, and I think he's one of the key students of Tenenbaum. But he focuses mainly on the capability of the OS to actually be able to survive driver failures. So I did some more research, and the wiki for Minix 3 details some strengths. None of these actually referred to the ability to survive a reincarnation crash. Also, there was a U of I student, did a PhD dissertation. He was a student of Professor Campbell, and he studied Minix as well. And he noted there was other crashes that couldn't be survived, including the file system. So this indicates possibly that the Minix really hasn't focused on all servers being able to survive crashes, but only the drivers really, which doesn't surprise anyone because that's generally speaking what causes inconsistent behavior on most mainline. The way that we'd like to begin this approach is to first install the current version of Minix on a virtual machine and perform a series of tests to understand the current version's performance. We will then focus on the reliability and understand the current system behavior in the event of a crash of the reincarnation server. We will then outline the relationship of the reincarnation server and understand how it relates to the rest of the OS. We will then attempt to implement a scheme for recovering after reincarnation server crash. This may not be a trivial task, according to Herder, and we may get stuck and mired in the fact that this OS really is not engineered like this currently. If this is not possible, we're going to try to perform this on another server, and then we will then characterize the scheme. After this, we're going to analyze the changes to the Minix system and see if they are consistent with the design philosophy of the OS. We don't want to violate any of the prime tenets of the system, such as bloating up the kernel or doing something or pulling something into the kernel space that really belongs in the user space. And lastly, we'll then provide recommendations on what the OS community should pursue. Thank you.